Now let's have a look at what's ahead of Adam Hansen and the rest today. 178 kilometres through Zaragoza to Tarazona, or Zaragoza to Tarazona if you like your Spanish lisped. A lumpy day made for a breakaway, and this giant Alpecin are on strict team orders to make up for yesterday by sacrificing themselves on the front all day.
Well, the faint hopes that the chasers have now depends largely on whether Oliveira cracks. And if you can hold off a rider with the calibre of Nicky Terpstra, then you're going some. Because Terpstra has been fully committed to trying to drag this back and has had very little help from anybody else, really. Bagot has clearly done his effort for Cofidis, but it didn't last much more than a kilometre.
Well, we see the two with Terpstra. The reason Terpstra is so committed and riding so hard with Arashira is because his teammate Brambilla is going to move up like Roman Sicard. So there's actually what's happening behind is they're not necessarily chasing down Oliveira, they're actually trying to hold off the peloton to make that gap as big as possible. So that's why Terpstra has been engaged into that move. So
the two teams, Europcar and Ethics Quickstep, who seem to be doing the lion's share of the work on the front, are dragging with them a bunch of opportunists who really not contributing too much to the chase, but should the worst happen to Oliveira and should he get caught in the final couple of kilometres, well, there's about 20 of them ready to pounce and take an advantage.
Exactly. I mean, this is what I think everyone's given up now on the stage, and so you've got Rojas there in 4th, 5th position, who more than likely will win the sprint, but he was up there on his own. He had no teammates. His team was basically riding a GC race, so they're behind the peloton looking after Quintana and Valverde. He was given, obviously, carte blanche today to cover the move, so the fact he was there was always a bonus as it was. But what's happened is because Oliveira's move has been so successful and he's gone off, he's strong enough to hold it off, and he's got two teammates blocking it, everyone's essentially realised it's game over. And so what's happened is you now have the GC teams. There's GCs, they're not the leaders, but the GC teams are trying to control this and trying to hold off this bunch.
No sign of tiredness whatsoever, though, from Nelson Oliveira, who passes underneath the 2 kilometres to go barrier at roughly the same time that the chase group passes under 3 kilometres to go, led out by Arashiro and Roman Sicard. So Oliveira's win, provided he stays upright and something catastrophic doesn't happen, appears to be very much in the bag.
That's the wonderful thing about the Vuelta. There is an opportunity for many riders to announce their kind of arrival on the ground, on the big stage, if you like. Then they can then take that to the Giro and the Tour. Same thing happened to me. The first road stage I won in a Grand Tour was at the Vuelta in 2001, and it was very much, I went there with that objective, and I think that's what a lot of these guys do. You learn the ropes at the Vuelta, then take that on to the Tour de France.
I wonder if Orica Greenedge then, who are beginning to do some work and beginning to bring that gap down a little bit, have just felt just a tiny bit of alarm about the prospect of giving Sicard and Brambilla too much slack here. Esteban Chavez, their man in green, is 130 down in GC, and he doesn't want any more competition there in his defence of his lofty position on GC. Oliveira, though, under the kite then, with 1 kilometre to go, and he just needs to hold this effort together. He knows, though, in his heart of hearts, he's got this. He has a minute to defend. There's absolutely nothing that these riders can do about Oliveira because he's going to win the stage. At what point can he just slacken off and start to enjoy the moment, or will that not happen until he's crossed the line?
No, he could now. He's not racing for GC. If he was racing for GC, he'd keep going for the line, but he's only racing for the stage today, so he can start to lift the pace now. With 1 minute and 800 metres to go, he knows it's gone. But look, he's so in the zone, and you just kind of, it's almost comes an ego thing as well. You want to get to the line and you want to have won by a minute, and then that's a pretty cool thing to say. I broke away and put a minute into everybody. So I think that is kind of, it is the pride as well.
Well, his pendant dangling in front of his chest there. His vest as yet unzipped, but I'm sure that'll change as he approaches the finish line. He was the first man to attack today on the climb. He took with him Sylvain Chavanel, and he was the first to break the group up and to indicate his intention of riding out a solo stage win, the biggest win of his career, his first win as a professional. Nelson Oliveira wins for Lampre Merida in some style. Take your bow, Oliveira. Punch the air if you want. You've deserved it. What a great individual ride that was. And he's not only won in style, he's won by a distance too, because this group, packed with talent as it is, all of them would have wanted to win today's stage, and in the end, they were all found wanting because Oliveira simply rode away from them in the simplest imaginable way. Arashiro now leading the line of chasers up to the finish line within the final kilometre. Sergio Henao on his wheel as Nicholas Roach moves up alongside on the left-hand side as Polyansky funnels across the road as well. Don't forget there are time bonuses available on the line, and important time bonuses, especially for the riders who've moved up today in the overall classification. Look, for example, at Nicholas Roach. Look at Roman Sicard, the Europe car rider, as Julien Simon starts to open up his sprint for Cofidis. Nothing more than seconds here and a little bit of pride at stake. Roach, though, looking for a good finish here, a second-place finish. He's gone a long way out, but he's strong, Nicholas Roach. I think he might just be beaten on the line by Simon. Simon just takes him on the line, though. And that's the story of the chase. Nelson Oliveira, hands outstretched, now knows exactly what it feels like to take a solo win on a Grand Tour. Bagdonas from AG2R just gets off the front of the bunch, and he will finish on his own in what I imagine is 25th place. Bagdonas then just showing his colours for the team, and Team Sky just rolling in front of the main peloton containing all the jerseys. So that's the story of their day. You can see the red jersey of Fabio Aru. Nothing to write home about today for him. Safe as houses, another day ticked off, another day nearer Madrid. But plenty of action as Bagdonas crosses the line. Plenty of action still to come for these main contenders over the next few days. Today, though, relatively a day off.
It was, but they're properly back on duty tomorrow. We'll get to that in a moment. Here's the result, though. Nelson Oliveira with exactly a minute to spare in the end from the rest of the breakaway, with Julien Simon beating Nicholas Roach in the sprint for second place. The remains of the breakaway filled the rest of the top 20, 3 minutes 43 ahead of the main field, which was good news for Romain Sicard and Gianluca Brambilla, who moved into the top 10 overall. Nelson Oliveira didn't, not that he cared. He had Lampre's first win in umpteen breakaway attempts and the first of his career.
This stage in the book I put a little X. I know in the beginning everybody wants to try to go to the breakaway, and this is a really hard stage, a lot of windy in the big group. But in the end I tried to anticipate. And then it was a TT until the end, and unfortunately, fortunately I win, and thanks to my team, to Lampre Merida, and my teammates.
Nicholas Roach's reward for a hard day's work in the break was his second third place of the Vuelta, although he did help pad Sky's lead in the team classification.
I mean, at this stage we're looking at everything. You know, we want to show in the Vuelta that we are still here. That. We did lose our team captain, Frumi. It was a big loss, but we have to show that we're one of the best teams in the world, and every race we do, we commit, and I think the team is really wants to show that we're still here. You know, Nieve is still up there on GC, and we'll fight for whatever we can.
In fact, Sky's lead went up massively today, 3 minutes 45 over Astana this morning, 11 minutes 21 this evening, thanks mainly to Roach and Sergio Henao. It's not a competition we tend to focus on much, especially since it's hard to track, but it definitely matters to the teams and their sponsors. Now, we said it was a day off for the GC contenders. It didn't necessarily feel that way for those concerned, certainly not the man in the white jersey.
Well, it took like 70 kilometers before the break went, and it was definitely a very hard fight before that. And yeah, then the best place rider was still at like 6 minutes or something, and so Astana needed to chase the whole day behind 26 riders. So it wasn't that easy, but eventually nothing happened in the GC, and I'm happy with that. But yeah, I mean, it's for everyone the same. So everyone had a hard day today, and everyone was hoping for an easier day, but it didn't happen.
Fabio Aru not only wore the jersey today, but took the leader's responsibility for controlling the race, even if the race seemed no great threat to his position overall.
Fabio, una tappa mica facile oggi. Perché Astana dava la caccia con tanta insistenza?
Ma in fuga c'erano due abbastanza vicini in classifica come Roma Insicard e Brambilla, e quindi abbiamo fatto in modo che insomma, la fuga non prendesse troppo vantaggio, però comunque sia mantenere anche 25 corridori a 4 minuti non è facile. I miei compagni sono stati molto bravi e quindi una grande Astana anche oggi.
Una preparazione dura per un fine settimana durissima.
Sì, ci aspetta un weekend molto duro e 3 tappe veramente da paura, una più dura dell'altra, e sicuramente adesso già abbiamo modo insomma, un po' di recuperare e pensare a domani.
Well, we'll get to Domani in a moment. First Odgi, because there are a couple of changes. Not at the very top. Fabio Aru still has 2 men within 30 seconds of him, Joaquim Rodriguez and Tom Dumoulin. And a minute further back, there's still that group of riders from Rafael Majka to Mikel Nieve, bunched within 30 seconds of each other. But 2 men ride themselves into the top 10 thanks to their work in the breakaway today, Gianluca Brambilla and Romain Sicard, at the expense of Louis Meintjes and the sick Nairo Quintana.
He sufrido mucho al comienzo. He pasado el día con ayuda a mis compañeros. Mañana es un día mucho más duro, más decisivo. Esperamos cómo sigue respondiendo el cuerpo y ahí tomaremos una decisión.
¿Estabas enfermo y mejor ahora?
Un poco mejor.
Well, it would be good for the race if Quintana's back to his best tomorrow, because we've got a long weekend of climbing coming up with 3 consecutive uphill finishes. In fact, Saturday, Sunday and Monday are the last 3 of the race.